Last time, after wrestling a bear,
Yes.
the party found themselves making their way through a portal, the Fae portal, to leave the Fae and to go to the city of Everbury. A city that's a bit gloomy, set up next to a lake, boats coming in and out, bringing in hauls of fish or whatever other things they dredge up from the bottom of the ocean floor or lake floor, I should say. They quickly realized that something was amiss. People were avoiding them. The population of this city would cross the street to steer clear of the group of adventurers. They would whisper and mutter, and all of them were wearing a strange little flower, usually in their hair or their clothing. But nevertheless, the party made their way to a tavern. The Bone Splinter Tavern, where they spoke to the bartender, a kindly woman that seemed to be taking everything in stride, but that apparently had something lodged into her back. After casting a few spells using their abilities, they determined that everyone else in the tavern was undead. Going out into the town after learning the name of the captain of the guard, Karsten Nikolai, they made their way to the barracks. And on the way, they could see that there were not one, not two. Everyone they passed looked to be afflicted with some level of undeadness. They spoke to Karsten Nikolai, who, despite the unique nature of the party and some of the undeadedness of the party itself, was still apprehensive about believing this story about the exiled one attacking Arkala with great beasts and all these other kinds of things, especially this whole tale of going back in time, apparently 5 months from when they had originally left Arkala.
Definitely not the epic time journey we expected.
Not the epic time journey, but hey, time travel is tricky, and Bobados did their best.
I'm gonna yeet that frog next time I see them.
They learned that the king of Everbury, King Frederick, is a bit slow to trust. And Karsten Nikolai set upon them a task. A guard named Lysithia would take them to the Red Witchery, where apparently they would be somehow tested for their purity, for their undead compatibility, or something along those lines. So with Lysithia, this tall, undead elven woman with black hair and black eyes, fair, pale skin, and the blue and purple uniform of the town's guard, begins to lead the party down the city. With the guard in tow, you can see that there's people that are a little bit less apprehensive, a little bit more curious, as Lysithia begins to guide you through the city. She's not talkative, but what do you all do? You walk down the road, mostly dirt and cobblestone. Decently well maintained and paved, but there's little patches and splotches of piled up dirt or dust that tends to drift past your feet. The houses on either side of the road are peaked, a style that suggests that they get snow here, so the snow can slide neatly off and into the alleyways. There are simple picket fences around some of the homes that you pass. There are statues here and there, decorative, that don't appear to have any particular shape. These more like tall monoliths that have various inscriptions that almost make you think of tombs in a graveyard, but then they'll have something that says, "Think positive," written along the side of it, or "Make today a good day," etched into the base.
Surprise, Warren doesn't have that etched into his armor.
Well, he did just buy, like, this armor's only, like, a couple days old. Like,
Hang
I
in
think it's maybe a
there.
week old.
Just a little inscription of a kitty.
Yeah. There's just in one of the plinths. There's just a very adorable rendition of a cat sleeping. Really kind of perky and positive things, despite the style being very gothic and the environment being a little bit grim. But you pass down this road until you get to an area where the terrain slopes rather dramatically. There are various staircases that you can see that you pass, as well as one that you're leading up to, that lead up to higher levels of these flatter areas, almost like each one is its own plateau that then have more buildings built on top of. So there is this strange verticality of the city, and even though the castle, if you look off to your right, you can see it past the rows of houses looming in the distance over over a bit of a peninsula going out into the lake. That's actually one of the lower points in this city, with others higher, creating almost this natural wall around this area. But you don't go up one of these staircases. Instead, you come to the edge of one of the cliff faces, where you can see different layers of sediment that have been worn away over time. And finally, to a rather small and quaint structure. It has a purple roof. There's a little bit of extra decoration that's been placed around the outside in the form of metal lanterns and gargoyles that are perched out on the balcony. And there's a sign hanging done in faded red paint that says, "The Red Witchery, brought to you by Madame Morose." Lysithea walks up, opens the door, you hear the jingling of a small bell, and immediately are assaulted by a wave of incense and perfume.
Ooh.
Inside it is dim, but Lysithea holds the door open and gestures for you to enter.
Well, I mean, that's about the only recourse then.
Warren just kind of bonk walks right in. He's just like, oh, this is fine. This is normal day, normal village. It isn't really quite set in that, like, you know, he's in this paladin getup, wandering around an undead.
Yeah.
At first glance, looks like a funeral home. There is a large space with a variety of coffins that have been arranged on either wall, and in between them are paintings. Very nice portraits of different individuals that have been dressed up in finery. You see there's a half-orc woman dressed in a nice purple dress. There is a human man with a thick white beard, and he has a very straight suit on in the portrait. And all of those coffins are very finely made. It almost looks like they are decoration pieces in and of themselves. A couple are inlaid with gold or silver. Some of them have gemstones creating tiny little hearts or shapes in different parts of the coffins. And in the center, there is, in the center of the space, towards the back, there is a desk, a large, oaken, solid, thick desk, one of those antique style things that's made to last for centuries. And it is very cleanly polished. There is a slender blue glass vase on one corner that has a single one of those flowers. There's an incense burner on the other side of the desk, and then there's a small little plaque that says Madame Morose on the front of the desk, and a large red chair right behind it. Behind that, there are two doors. Very large, no windows, simple and polished. Everything here having an air of fancy sort of expense in this area. And you all are guided in. There are a number of chairs. Some of them are set next to the coffins, but Lysithea, gestures. Just go ahead and take the chairs and sit wherever you see fit. Lysithea steps aside, and you can hear a shuffling from a room in the back before the door opens, and a hunched figure comes forth. This person reads as a creature at first glance. The way that they shuffle and move just does not seem natural. They hobble with a cane in one skeletal hand. And you can see that on the right side of their body, split directly down the middle, their entire right side appears to be skeletal. But then their left side appears to be preserved flesh. A bit wrinkled, but glistening with some oil that has been doused over it. Not that you can see very much of it. You can see a bit of her face underneath a veil that ends in little tassels, and a scarf that ends in slightly larger tassels that kind of dangle with every hobbling movement that she gives. Tick, tock, tock, tick, tock, tock. She moves, glances across you all silently, makes her way to the chair, sets her cane that you can see has the head of a rat carved out of wood, leans that against her desk, sits in the chair, steeples her fingers, and leans forward. I am Madame Rose, matchmaker of the Red Witchery. So, who would like to find their love after life?
Warren says,
Wait. The big test is a matchmaker, is a date guru.
Date guru.
Lysithia rubs her temples a moment and says, one of you, just get up there.
So Warren kind of looks around. It's like,
Adore, my old friend. It seems to me like this is something that's severely lacking in your current state. And you'd be the most similar to her usual clientele, nay?
Yes! She points a crooked skeletal finger at Adre. Yes! Come! She gestures.
Adre, let's And as he gets up, as he passes Urus, he's like, you realize that I room with a smoking hot busboy who wears a skirt. There is no lacking in my life. As he makes his way over to Madame Rose.
But before Andre, what do you call it, walks over, what do you call it? Ophelia kind of like puts her covered hand on his shoulder, and says, "Wait, before you go." And in front of everybody, you see like she kind of like removes the sleeve off of one of her hands, and she opens her mouth, and you see like just kind of like all of her teeth, and she reaches for the back, and you hear her like crunching and crackling as she pulls out one of her molars without any issues. As I'm gonna use my ability Eerie Token. So I can harmlessly remove a lock of hair, one of my nails, or one of my teeth.
Okay.
The token becomes imbued with magic until my next long rest. At which point, the thing that I removed reappears. So my tooth will regrow.
Okay, interesting.
But I'm not gonna tell you what it does yet, because that's on you for not reading what I do.
Fair enough.
And I give the tooth to Adre, and I say, a little good luck charm. Trust me. Hold on to it.
Do I just scream women issues?
Nay, my friend. That was a token given to you by a lady. Clearly, it's working already.
It's working already.
Ophelia looks at
party
Urus.
has very loose definitions of lady.
Ophelia looks at Urus, and she's like, "How would you know what it's like to get a token from a lady?"
This is probably quite a long time.
My dear sweet child of the Summerlands.
She
You have
raises her hand.
no ken.
She raises her hand. How old are you?
Ernst grins a little bit. You
Andre
didn't
will
ask
give-
you didn't ask a lady her age now, do ya?
I'm not asking a lady. I'm talking to you.
Jeez.
I was gonna say, Audrey just kind of looks at Ophelia and says, I'm gonna get in trouble for this if I say it. Should I, guys?
No, probably
Okay.
not. If that's the sensation you get, probably best you hold back.
Probably best.
But Erst will simply have herself a chuckle and shake her head. 40 years if a day, and many of them filled with long and interesting nights.
Ophelia kind of gives like what kind of sounds like an evil kind of cackle, like you would expect from like kind of like a hag, pretty much. And she's like, "Oh, young one, you have so much to learn that appearances do not give away age." And she sits down.
You see Madame Morose and Lysithea exchange a glance. Very much, Madame Morose kind of puts her hands up like, what am I supposed to do with this? And Lysithea just kind of nods and says, "It's from the captain." And she says, "Okay."
Okay.
Well,
Whoops,
have a seat. She gestures to a place where there's no chair in front of her desk.
Roll.
Audrey will head over, and Truffles, being the loyal pig that they are, shuffles over and plunks herself down so that he can sit on the top of the mushroom on the top of the pig.
The old woman nods and says, "So, you're finally ready to let go of those left behind when your soul let go of this mortal coil to find love in the afterlife?"
Well, my circumstances are slightly different, but sure.
But sure.
Yes, you have such curious companions, don't you?
Wait,
Yeah,
are we-
that's the word we're going to use. Curious.
Yes.
Erst leans over towards the rest of the party. Are we part of Audrey's afterlife? What a weird thought.
Are you?
Are you? Uh-oh.
I don't know. You guys just walked in here, and I'm apparently supposed to match you up with someone here.
Oh, God. Warren is just... He's right now, he's just... He is, like, tuned out from the world. He is He's doing a ponder. He is so
Warren
confused.
should be realizing that this might mean Rocky gets a mom.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
It hasn't hit him yet.
It will eventually. He'll knock right into it.
Walk
Let
right
me
in.
tell you about how this works. And she waves a hand over her desk, and as she does, you can see part of her shawl drifts across the desk, and a book appears. It's like a large binder, and you can see that there are a mishmash of different pieces of parchment and vellum and other things inside of this. And she opens it up, and it creaks with the strain of leather as she does. And she draws her skeletal hand across the very front page. And she says, "This is the ledger of those looking for a partner to spend the until death do us part a second time of their lives with. All sorts. Tell me, do you have a preference of death?"
Stunned, like,
If you'll allow me to be slightly superficial. Nothing disfiguring.
Oh, very good. Yes, no, that is a common concern. After all, everyone in Everbury was once alive, and we struggle to set aside our prejudices, but yet here we are. Do you prefer spectral partners, skeletal partners, or fleshy partners?
Ugh.
Each has its own advantages and disadvantages. In bed,
In bed?
She just had to add that last bit, yes.
as well as in other facets, but you seem like a rather superficial lot.
Oh, well, let me dispel that. Because I am quite intrigued
That
by
is killing
the,
me.
how would one say, corporeally challenged.
Oh, yes, yes, we have only a handful of spectral partners. They often have to remain indoors. And there's not much to hold on to, so if you prefer physical affection, you may not get much more than a passing breeze from them. But often they retain a beautiful visage that is in part malleable based on their mood, so they tend to be the nicest to look at.
As long as they retain their intellect, their wits.
Well,
I may be superficial, but I do have depth.
okay, it's good to hear. And she starts to open up the she like shifts a big chunk of the book over with a thunk. And you can see that she has started to look over a listing of names on a new page. And she says, well, we have a number of spectral partners. Some of them have a different nature of the curse than others. I heard, if I'm not mistaken, you prefer male partners?
Another shocking moment.
Audrey just sort of scratches his chin.
You did mention your roommate being a boy in a skirt.
Well, that's the thing. The preference isn't male.
Listen, it's skirt. The key word there was skirt.
Yes.
Kids these days very well of the female persuasion, then.
As long as it's in a
Honestly,
skirt.
It's equal opportunity.
Oh, it's good to meet one of your
What? It's just an animated
myths,
skirt.
your being with an open mind.
A haunted
Good.
skirt.
Urs nods a few times, commenting sagely from the back line. Aye, a beard is a beard, no matter who it's on.
I was going to say I've been acquainted with too many dwarves to be put off by.
Appearances.
Yeah.
Of
Well-
course, of course. There is a woman. Her name is Shalara. She's very nice.
She loves
She
skirts.
is a banshee. She loves flowers and reading. Does that sound like somebody you might want to meet?
Does sound lovely.
She turns over to a page and she turns the book towards you and pushes it with both hands and apparently.
Please sign here. I'm not liable for any damages.
Oh, I think you cut out there, Riley.
You
Yep,
kind
Hear
of,
me now?
Yeah, there we can.
Now we can hear you.
Yeah, my internet just had a hiccup. So she turns this book around and she pushes it across the desk towards you, and you can see that there is a pencil portrait of a beautiful half-elven woman. Is the first read that you get off of her. She has, apparently according to this portrait, she has nicely painted lips. She has nice slender eyebrows and gently pointed ears, and she appears to be wearing a simple blouse. And underneath there are a number of little blurbs at the bottom, written in pen. It says Shalara Fabella, and that she is interested in the things that Madame Rose said, reading and singing and all these other kinds of things. And as you're looking through this, I would like you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Great. Check.
From the insanity that just happened.
Oh my god! And so it begins.
Okay.
One.
Just
my God.
chef's kiss.
So, what I would like you to do is
Single digit
to
night.
kind of tell me what are as you're seeing this, as you're hearing all of this, what is Adre thinking? What's kind of going through his mind?
Let's see. He's honestly, he's just going through the motions on this
It's like, just
Okay.
gotta get
because
it
they
done.
have to be here, right? Do this. So, let's see here.
Go to sleep.
She looks pretty. Like there's honestly, there's not too much going on in his head at this moment.
Okay.
No
just
thoughts
kinda-
head empty.
No thoughts,
Yeah.
head empty, kind of stunned.
It's
by
more
this.
about that. This he's having to dance this dance for them to get the info they need. Right.
Okay. Okay. I would like the other three of you to make perception checks.
Uh-oh.
All right, let's
check.
see. Perception. There it is.
The fact that you got a 7 on a natural.
Oh, yeah!
Wow.
A goose egg, a 0.
This is a
Yay!
bad day.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Someone
natural
finally-
20
Popping
for
them
22
dice.
And-
for Barry.
And now the 10.5 to round it
Yeah,
out.
10
Yeah,
and a
here we
half.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Ah.
Barry, you notice that there was a copper piece in her hand that, when she's done muttering, has vanished.
Oh, material component.
Okay. As that's happening,
Mhm.
first, I am going to first. So Audrey's holding onto that tooth, right?
Yeah.
Okay. As she's waving her hand and the copper piece disappears,
Mhm.
I am going to focus into the energy of the tooth. Hey Audrey, are you okay? Because I don't want to accidentally like overfill in the words.
Now my brain is even asking if I'm okay.
Okay, so Audrey, you hear Ophelia's voice in your mind, as if they were. You know how when you have headphones, it sounds like the sound is coming from the center of your head instead of on either side.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it sounds like, right? It's not from either side. It's not from where Ophelia is. You hear her voice inside your mind, asking this question, and you know, because this is kind of part and parcel of the spell, that you can reply up to 25 words right back.
Okay. Does Audrey feel anything odd?
There is a moment, a very, very brief moment, where it seems like a couple of memories are coming up unbidden. Memories of living in Arcala, memories of meeting Warren for the first time. Things like that are like, why am I thinking about that? But otherwise, nothing hurts. Nothing seems too out of place. Could be just your wandering mind. Who knows?
Okay, so he's gonna reply, I don't know, feeling oddly nostalgic.
And
Okay.
just looks at her, and then she just says, "So what are you casting there?"
Lysithia turns, and when you do turn towards her, you can see she was already looking at you. She gives a smile, doesn't reply, turns to Madame Morose. Let's try something different.
So what
if
are you
don't mind."
casting there?
And Madame Morose gives a nod. Both of them, kind of seeing that you're asking a question, and you can see her eyes darting between Ophelia and Lysithea, but Lysithea is the person that she knows, so she says, "Oh, okay."
Ophelia stands up. What are you casting there?
If you wish for any help from the city of Everbury, you'll sit down and remain silent.
I would like to keep a sense of trust. If
Of course.
you're not telling me, how do we know we could trust you?
At the moment, the strangers that have invaded our city unbeckoned are the ones that need to earn our trust.
That
The
is a
feeling's
good
mutual.
point. We did just kind of pop in.
The feeling's mutual. Trust needs to go both ways.
Ernst raises her hands and gently sort of waves them downward. All right, let's settle down, everyone.
Buddhist, now's not the time. You did something to my friend, and I would like to know what.
Relax. I didn't harm him in any way.
Then may I please know what you casted?
Let's see.
Tell you what. Make a persuasion check.
Okay.
Or intimidation, depending on what you prefer.
Okay. Okay. 22 intimidation.
Okay, very good. So you're standing there, threatening, looking at this guard, and you can see a little bit of sweat bead on her forehead. She says, "Tell you what. Let's put your paladin friend here.
That way, if something goes wrong, nothing will have lost. Value will be lost.
Let's put him in the hot seat, and if everything goes well, then I will explain everything."
Ophelia sits, but she doesn't move the chair and she keeps staring at her.
Yep, yep.
Madame Morose looks very off-put by this whole situation. She is kind of glancing around between you all nervously, as if waiting for somebody to throw the first punch.
I wasn't
When
paid
that
enough
doesn't
for this
happen
shit.
and Ophelia sits down, she kind of pulls the book back, again with a little bit of effort, turns it back towards herself and says, "I'll see if I can arrange a meeting with Shalara. What was your name? I forgot to ask."
Andre.
Audrey, good. Audrey, yes, I'll let them know that they have an interested paramour. Very well, then you? She asks, uncertain, towards Warren.
Oh boy.
Tell me, as I said before, is there a preference of death of the partner that you seek?
He's like, well, I ponder it every now and again, but if I had to, and so he clears his throat and he like reaches into like a pocket into his like armor and he pulls out this like piece of paper and he unfolds it and just kind of like unfolds a comically large number of times. He's like, well, first of all, I would prefer someone who looks a little bit like myself, just to, just sort of a personal preference thing. And they have to be able to worship gods and that sort of thing, They can't be an atheist or anything like that. That kind of goes against my job description. And they have to be nice. And, are they good with kids? I will have a child at some point. His name's Rocky. I can't wait to meet him again. But they'll need to be good with kids. And in addition to that, and he kind of goes on.
To everyone's enduring surprise, this is actually a question Warren has put a lot of thought into.
Yeah. She's listening, and you get the sense that she's getting a little more comfortable. Like, okay, this is not something that is totally new to her. There are a couple little points, having a kid, for example, when you're already dead is apparently a little
Also,
odd.
going to have a kid. Not yet.
Going
You
to have
already
a
know.
kid, and the name has already been figured out. So, there's a few points where, like, her eyes squint a little bit, but otherwise she kind of shifts a little bit, gets comfortable in her chair, lets him go on and on and on and on. And she starts flipping through her book, bit by bit, kind of humming along, nodding along as he speaks, going through different images. And you can kind of see from where you guys sit, there's different portraits. Some of them are painted, some of them are ink, some of them are charcoal or pencil or something like that. Some of them are just walls of text. Some of them are not even written in any traditional sense, but actually she flips over a piece of leather that looks like it's just been scratched. Text has been scratched into it. And she flips that over and continues along as she listens.
So, you know,
And finally, so I'm assuming that eventually Warren runs
he'll
out of
eventually
breath.
he'll eventually stop and is like, you know, and I understand this could be a little difficult. I've done this before in some of the temples of love and, you know, the goddesses of you know, fertility and that sort of thing. They always turn me down for some strange reason. They say that they can't find anyone, which is, I guess, is fair. I think I might be a little demanding, you know. This list is actually only a third of what it once was, but one day I hope to find someone.
I'm very particular, and I understand. We get a little picky when we've had many different experiences. We wish to see all the good in our partner, none of the flaws. That's a normal thing, and I applaud you for narrowing it down a little bit.
A little bit.
I think if you're willing to look past a few little flaws, there is someone that has been looking for someone for some time.
Really? Like, Warren is
Yeah.
legit, like, taken aback.
They are religious. It says that they are good with kids. They enjoy... Oh, it's a little hard to read here. Their penmanship was not so good, but I believe it says they enjoy big men.
It kind of was like,
You are rather tall, aren't you?
I was like, oh well, you know, I do, you know, I do live.
They do prefer the skeletal type, which you are. And yes, they want someone to be a provider and protector, and they in turn shall be a most, what does it say here? Most passionate lover.
So,
And there's a few paragraphs of text that appears to be describing various acts of fornication.
Oh,
So- so Warren kind of sits there and kind of like throws the like his little letter on the table, and he kind of shrugs like, "Well, that was easy. I don't know what these other temples are having such a hard time with. Jeez."
The gods of love did not like that.
The gods of love did not like.
There is one thing you should be aware of, is that she's an unusual kind of undead.
It's like,
All right.
Unusual.
Before Riley reveals it, anyone want to place bets?
Yeah.
What a place bet.
Who wants to place bets? Let's take survey in the chat. What kind of undead creature do you think I'm about to try to put Warren up with?
I'm gonna go ahead and make the long shot here.
Oh.
Mhm.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
A Reaper. I see Nosferatu. I see another Wendigo. Undead Ogress. Okay.
The
Ugly
oh god.
Undead octopus? What the
An
hell?
undead octopus.
God. I'm like, I think I know what this is, but I'm not gonna say anything.
You're not going to say anything? Okay.
No.
All right. No, I want
You
you,
know
to
what?
say
I
something
think
because
I think she's a demi-lich.
a Demi-Lich.
Oh, there you go.
I was gonna say a lich.
Or an
Demi-Lich,
Alhoon.
undead crab.
Born in a
Okay.
Actually, the idea of her just being a skeletal hand is pretty funny.
I'm gonna go with Alhoon actually.
Alhoon. Ooh.
An
okay.
Elithalich.
Oh no,
Yeah.
goodness!
That's something. That's almost a better idea than what I had in mind.
Damn it.
Really, really close.
God.
It's
Really,
the
really
tentacles.
It's the
Yeah. No, that's a really good one. That actually, The flying head one, the one that has to pickle their guts to get back into their body.
Oh
I have
my
no
God.
idea what that is. If any, it's just Warren with a slightly higher voice.
Like, well, you know. Time
Warren,
travel.
meet Warina.
Warren. Oh my God.
Yeah,
It's just Warren in a wig.
Warren in a wig. How did I know I would be here?
Wait, what's Warren backwards? Nerar.
Nerar.
Nerar. Yeah,
Oh my God.
I love it.
Quoth the Raven, Nera War.
Wow. Okay, so she finally says, well, how do you feel about being the smaller person in the relationship?
Warren's like, he's
Sapien
like,
crawling
oh.
apocalypse. Sapien crawling apocalypse.
Crawling apocalypse. He's like, well, I suppose fine with me. I don't really have a height requirement or anything.
Oh, good. Yes, it says here she is a night walker.
Okay, that's impressive.
Night
She
walker.
stands about 25 feet tall. And, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Apparently views herself as the incarnate of lust and evil.
The evil.
Yes, a night walker,
Oh,
aka
is
a
that
night
no
chief.
good?
I don't know
We
about the
all
whole
do
evil
have to
part.
make compromises, Warren.
Well, I wonder, maybe I could go and, maybe convince her to the path of good, you know?
Warren
Always
sees
a
25 foot tall,
possibility in
dark-skinned
love.
lady. I can change her.
I can change
25-foot tall, skull-faced, horned demon creature from the Shadowfell. I can fix her.
Because all he wants to do is bring redemption to a giant woman.
Yes! It's gonna be a Disney movie where it's like Warren's
Oh,
trying to,
God.
like, Little Mermaid the Nightwalker into being good.
Even better, 90s sitcom music starts playing.
Oh my God.
Oh, you.
Oh, you.
Too many ghosts. Too many ghosts.
Warren comes home from church and she's just like holding a body and drops it and hugs him. He's got the
Sweetheart,
oh
you're
you finger shake going.
It's like, didn't we talk about this?
Then they pause for audience laughter and then continue.
Exactly.
Her name is Coral Darkmoor, and if you're interested, I can send a letter of introduction.
Coral Darkmoor. That's a pretty name. Sure, why not? I haven't. This is literally the first time I've ever had someone interested. So
Okay.
might as well give it a
And
shot.
so, while
I'm
you're
not-
doing this,
not
I would
interested.
like you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh boy. Wisdom. Oh, close to a 20.
Jesus Christ.
But-
It wasn't
two.
a 1 at least,
It
but that
wasn't
makes
a
a total of 6. Yeah. So go ahead and describe for me what is going through Warren's head as he's hearing this.
I wonder what kind of chapel I should take her to first. Maybe introduce her to the gods of, let's see, what would a Nightwalker want to visit? Farming? No, not Nightwalkers like farming. Maybe they like, oh, no, wait, the whole lust thing. Oh, probably a chapel of love first. Yes, I could introduce her to some of the love gods. She might like that. Just like what god to introduce her to first.
I love it. I love it. The rest of you, I would like you to make perception checks. Barry, because you are intently watching Lysithia, you may make yours with advantage.
Oh, what? Okay. Oh,
Nice.
oh, dirty 20. Let's
20,
go.
16, okay.
Hey!
Ooh.
Hey, nice.
And Urist with the natural 20.
Everyone's like,
23.
hold it.
Okay. So all three of you, as her attention is on Warren, and Warren's attention is on Madame Morose, or wherever
His
his ADD
attention
takes him
is.
next.
ADD.
His attention is end of sentence. Squirrel. you do notice Lysithea casting a spell.
Counterspell.
Counterspell.
Uh-oh.
I mean, at this point, the spell already went through.
Yeah, the general agreement was that she's just going to do whatever she's going to do one more time, and then if whatever it is happens fine, then we all agree. I think counterspelling
Do you still
would be.
wish to? I mean, if you wish to cast it anyway, you may.
I'm just going to say that Audrey was kind of caught in whatever was being cast
Okay.
before when they were making that decision.
Sure. So
So this is just a knee-jerk thing from him.
Yeah, so you see that a spell is being cast, and then you stop it, and Ophelia, you can see that Lysithea pauses, and there's like a spark that goes between her hands. Urist, you can see that there is a copper piece in her hand that is still there. And Ophelia, you catch the glimmer of copper in her hand as well. She quickly scans the lot of you, catches eyes with Audrey, and says, I recommend you don't interfere with this process.
Your brain will be brain dead. Don't worry, Warren's already brain dead.
How tall is she?
She's about 5'10", so, not super tall, not super short.
Okay, so average.
Average height, yeah.
Okay.
I've never been one to enjoy people secretively casting spells on me and my friends. That's all.
Ophelia turns and looks at Audrey, and with a very wide smirk, she says, "Secretively, she's not even trying to hide it."
No, but she is trying. That's the sad part.
So, Uris, now that you catch that glimpse of copper,
20s.
you're very certain that she is trying to cast Detect Thoughts.
Yeah.
Yep.
Figured.
Erst perks up her eyebrows and leans into Audrey and sort of brings him a little closer and goes, I saw it. The penny for their thoughts. That she's trying to detect thoughts on Warren.
All right. Well, now that I know
starve.
she's just beating her head against a wall, she can go right ahead.
It takes a moment, and she pinches the bridge of her nose for a moment. Go on.
Oh no, Ernst is trying to be quiet about this. So once the bit of diplomacy is done, Ernst sort of gives her a wave. It's all right. Go ahead.
Yeah.
All yours.
Audrey will even lift his hands and hold them aside to show that he's not.
Wait,
well.
did Ophelia hear any of that or no?
Ophelia may be close enough.
Okay.
She's got good perception in general, right?
Yeah, what's Ophelia's passive perception?
12.
Yeah, I'll say that you probably picked up on what Urist was mentioning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ophelia just starts breaking out laughing to the point where she actually has to hold her stomach. And
By all means.
and she looks at her and she's like, "You're really trying to read the mind of this buffoon? Go right ahead! I need to
Warren,
see
you
this
hear
play
all
out."
of this happening behind you. Do you
No,
respond to that in any way?
he is too busy thinking.
You're too busy thinking and engaging with Madame Rose, and you guys are talking
Yeah,
specifics
he's
and stuff like that. Madame Rose does glance to Lysithea and glance over, past Warren a little bit. She has to lean to one side to see the rest of you, and she's just like
He's
has her
pondering.
brow furrowed. She's very confused and concerned. But Lysithea waves a lot of you off, and she casts the spell again.
Yeah.
So
Ophelia turns to look at Madam, and she's like, "I'm so sorry that I was trying to interrupt this. This I gotta see now."
Yeah.
So Madame Rose does flip the page, and you can see on the other side of the page that it had all these different things. There is a small kind of blotchy painting of apparently this coral Darkmoor. You can't make out much. It looks a little bit like, how when somebody scribbles really rapidly on a piece of paper and makes all those things, just random shapes in a pen.
yeah.
It kind of looks like somebody did that with a stick of charcoal. And so you get the vague idea of a very womanly shape, but otherwise the rest just reeks of madness. That is apparently the image that they have here of Coral Darkmoor. And she turns that your way and pushes it towards you, and she says, "She seems rather lovely if you get past the aura of dread.
It's like, aura of dread. Might be a bit, I haven't dealt with one of those before. I'm sure it'll be fine. As Warren has his own little aura.
Yes.
They're gonna clash and explode.
Right?
Audrey's
look
gonna
like
peek
a
and be like, "If you won't date her, I will."
You seem like a strapping young man. I'm sure that you will be able to find an accord. And she's been looking for oh so long. I'm sure that she would be willing to make some sacrifices.
Let's just drop the whole evil thing. It'll be fine.
You never know until you try.
It's like, that's the motto I live by. You can just ask any chapel in Arcala.
As this is happening, what is Warren's immediate response to this image? Like, what is going through his head as he looks upon this strange rendition of a potential partner?
So this whole aura of, like, it's just like a bunch of maddening scribbles over the thing, right?
Yeah, maddening scribbles that happen to have a vague sense of where, like, the head is, the torso, the legs. She does have a very tall, lovely proportions and stuff like that. And you can see where almost too perfectly, whatever charcoal was used missed the area where her eyes are. So they just show up as pure white amidst this scrawling.
Okay.
In a very, these two white motes amidst all of this that just look very, very piercing, even on this piece of paper.
Like someone somehow took an erase tool to it.
Yeah. Or like just avoided those spots perfectly, even amidst the mad scribbling.
Yeah.
So, and the detect thoughts stuff is going off, right?
It is going off. We're going to use that previous failure as the current one.
Okay, so he's looking at this picture, and all the only thoughts going through his mind is like, well, that looks kind of like a rain cloud. Wait, clouds, like fog clouds. I wonder, do fog clouds rain? I wonder what happens when a bird flies through a fog cloud. I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. When was the last time I ate?
I could go for some chicken.
I could go for some
Like,
chicken.
The rest of you can see, like, you know what's happening now at this point, the three of you.
Yep.
And every
see
one of
that
us is
she's
smirking.
slowly face palming, and she is rubbing her temples with both hands. And then she gets this, like, really firm look on her face. And
Audrey's gonna ask her, "Did you see the monkey, or did you only hear his accordion?"
she gives a very curt, like, movement of her hand, like as if to say, zip it. And she focuses in, and Warren, you can now feel that memories are starting to be pulled up unbidden into your
Okay.
consciousness.
It's like, I do remember that time I lost my socks. I wonder what
Indeed.
happened to those.
You remember that. You remember accidentally setting one of the places of worship on fire because you wanted to bring a proper offering to the fire god. You remember
Once
tripping and colliding your face onto the dirt, and then when you pulled up, you saw that there was an impression of your face, and you thought that was a sign of a deity trying to communicate with you.
Yes.
Um,
This one time the farmers wanted their potatoes delivered, so I delivered it right to the inn. I didn't know they wanted payment for that.
And there's several other, memories that suddenly come up, and they come up a little faster, almost like flashcards flashing in front of your
There's
mind.
got to be something useful in here.
There's got to be something useful, and deeper and deeper and deeper this little rabbit hole goes. So what I would like you to do is make another wisdom saving throw, this time, however, with advantage.
Oh no.
My God, it's all stupid.
It's all stupid.
Double 18, so 22, no matter which way you slice it. Suddenly, Lysithia kind of blinks, and she glances around. Warren, the last thing the last kind of memory that was pulled up was a singular moment in a combat not too long ago.
Where I exploded.
Yeah. And there was just that one brief flash of anger. And then suddenly Lysithia is out of your mind, and your brain is back to its normal routine
So
of chaos.
Warren kind of does this like slump, like he was enjoying the slideshow,
and then oh hey, the monkey's back.
The monkey's back.
Oh dear.
So at that, you can see, like, in front of you, Madame Rose is, like, a little concerned. She's looking at you with a brow quirked up. Are you all right, dear?
I am now. Yes, it's just a bit of a walk down memory lane, as it were. And he chuckles to himself like he just made a great joke.
I see. So would you like me to send that letter of recommendation?
Oh, certainly.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Good. That's business as usual, she says to Lysithea, and Lysithea is like still kind of blinking away, apparently dots that are like floating about in front of her eyes. And she says, very good, then I will get to work on that. Do you have a place of residence here in Everbury?
Oh no, I'm from Arcana.
Oh!
Oh! I
Lysithea
really don't-
finally snaps to it, and she says, send the letters to the barracks. We'll handle it from there. And she looks at the lot of you with a squint in her eyes, and
just
finally
see-
announces, I'll report my findings to the captain.
You just see like a big, like, teeth-filled grin from Ophelia. She's looking at her. She's like, "Yeah, you will."
And without, she then moves to the door, pauses with her hand on the handle, turns to a lot of you and says, I'll let the captain know that you're free to go about Everbury as you wish, but if you make any trouble, I will not hesitate to handle you myself. She marches out. But what brings you all the way from Arkala?
Well, that's quite the long story. But in
One
short,
story we'll tell in some. No, I'm kidding.
I'm really tempted now
Cue the
that you
music.
said that.
Please no, I
Please
can only
don't.
handle so much psychic damage.
I wonder if I can. Hang on. I'm pretty sure I got the melody for Modern
Uh-oh.
Nature General around here
And
somewhere.
on that note, we're
No.
going to take a quick break. We'll be back in about 5-10 minutes as we go to the restroom and get some drinks. Give us the short version, Alex. Give us the short version.
Well,
Not the song, just the actual.
The
reason
short
you're
version.
here.
set aside my lyric book. All right.
Thank you.
To make a long story short, Arkala is in a wee bit of trouble with some of the outsiders roaming the wilderness and making the beasts all upset. And we seek help.
Goodness.
Aye, it'd be a serious topic. But I'm glad that we could take the opportunity, glances towards Adre, to help our companions with some of their personal desires.
Personal desires.
There's no magic here except for all the walking corpses.
You know, but that just seems to be the way that this continent works. You step back out into the afternoon air of Everbury. It looks like the fog has receded. The area around you is a little bit easier to look about. Though you do see a couple of people have begun lighting some of the lanterns. Apparently, you may be further into the afternoon than you thought, or perhaps this is just tradition here. You're not sure. But you're out, and it seems that people are still curious. There's a pair of gnomes that are looking your way, and are just watching your group from the nearby tree. Others kind of pause and watch, and some scurry away, some just kind of whisper amongst each other. Seems that rumors are beginning to spread, or talk of your arrival is beginning to spread.
It's like,
Ophelia
oh.
kinda, like, Ophelia looked at the gnomes and hissed.
They run.
Oh, jeez. Those poor
they,
old-
there's, and then they both are out of there. You head back to the barracks, where Lysithea and Karsten Nikolai are already having a bit of a heated conversation out at the front steps. The skeletal guard looks very uncomfortable having his superiors arguing right next to him.
It's like, oh.
Yeah, he's just standing there as straight as an arrow, trying not to make any noise. He notices you coming and says, the weary travelers. And then Karsten and Lysithea, their attention snaps over to you all approaching. And Lysithea quickly clams up, and Karsten clears his throat and says, had fun at the Red Witchery?
Oh, aye. Quite so.
It was great.
Boy.
I finally got matched up with someone. It wasn't even that hard.
And you're pleased by this?
Well, yeah, it's more than the chapels and Arcala were able to do.
And he glances over at Lysithea, and Lysithea gives kind of a helpless shrug. And he says, good. Very good. So, we've crossed a bit of a threshold, I think. Welcome to Everbury.
Thank you. It is a pleasure to be here.
I'm going to give you something, and I recommend that you wear them. And he produces 5 badges, as well as 5 of the flowers that are commonly seen around the personage, around Everbury. He hands each of you one of them, and he says, "Where's your last companion gone?"
Ophelia kind of like steps up and kind of just says, she went hunting. Had something she had to take care of apparently.
Very good. If you see them, tell them to stop by. I can give them one of these as well.
And she kind of like looks at Lysithea, and she says, I would have never detected the thought of forgetting to tell them.
Jeez.
Lysithea gives a bit of a scowl, and the rest of you can see that the badges are very, very simple. They're little purple and blue shield emblems that are just little patches. Very simple. And on the back is a little pin that has been sewn on, so you can put them wherever you like. And he says, these are often given to squires, let's say. We don't really have an official title. Usually we would call them interns, perhaps. Trainees. Sometimes bounty hunters. But, nevertheless, I give you these so that the population may ease their worry about you. And you can see Lysithea, the expression on her face is clearly one of disapproval. But she says nothing. She just crosses her arms and stands there quietly. And finally, Captain Nikolai says, I give you these not only to protect you from the glares and worry of the population, but also with a request in mind.
Aye. Do go on.
I mentioned before that we have issues with those from Vild. Yes?
Aye.
One of their last attacks,
Raiding parties.
the raiding parties, left a bit of a problematic patch of ground to the south of Everbury. It has become untenable for anyone in Everbury to even get near this patch. It wards the undead, and they have been using it as a operating base for some time when they do visit. We would like you to take down the idols and the wards that they have put up and return the ground to normalcy, let's say.
Yes, I do believe that's within our capabilities.
Well, I figure since we're gonna get some rest, this would be the best time to do it. So when they go back to the bunks, Ophelia's gonna sit on a bottom bunk, and she takes out her ebony skull, and she's gonna take out. Let me see. What would be the best thing to make a hand axe with? Okay. She's gonna take out the spine from the lizard folk and a rib from the lizard folk
Okay.
that they killed.
Okay.
And she puts that onto the bed, and she kind of from like her journal rips up some sheets of paper and draws sigils on them. This is so she doesn't have to draw on the bed or on the floor.
Nice.
And then she places it around the bones as her ebony skull lights up and specters start to fly around the room. I don't know if there's anybody else in the room with her at this time, but you know, different kind of specters appear, each holding, you know, like a hammer, a what do you call it, like some kind of D&D screwdriver. I don't know if that's even a thing in this game. And you know, like building materials, pretty much. As they all gather around the bones, and after a couple of minutes of concentration, sweating, a bone hand axe appears amongst all the stuff.
Okay.
So let me just remove these from my inventory. Now this hand axe, this bone hand axe, is a +1 hand axe, I believe. Let me just double check. Yeah, it counts as a +1.
Just for clarity, a ghostly screwdriver is a boo driver.
Shut up. As what do you call it? So with it, so let me just write +1 bone axe, bone hand axe. And then with it in hand, she crumples up the sigil papers and puts them in her bag. Well, she neatly folds the axe so she could use it later.
Okay.
And then she holds the axe and just sits on her bed and waits for Warren to appear.
Okay.
Oh. Well, do I just pop into the...
I guess whenever you return to the room.
Just poop.
Oh god.
Okay,
Are
I
you
mean,
here now?
yeah,
Or-
he'll unless anyone else wants to do anything first.
I was gonna say Audrey is going to use the time before meditating to ritual cast detect magic on the badges we got.
Okay. Very good. So you take your time, you check out the badges. No magic,
Okay. Just wanted to make sure there
flowers.
weren't
however.
any scrying spells or anything on them.
Sure.
Same thing
The-
with the flowers.
The flowers are slightly magical.
Any indication of spell?
It appears
School?
that the school is necromancy.
Probably a preserve life spell.
Is there any way I could kind of peer into it to see if I recognize the spell?
Make an arcana check.
Wizardry stuff. Not one, right here.
22.
22. You're pretty certain that yes, it is some sort of preserve life spell. Something that will keep the flower fresh and producing its anti-death stench sort of scent for a long time.
All right. Well, that's acceptable.
The only acceptable kind of magic is good magic.
It's good.
It also appears that the spell is not something that has been cast on the flowers. It is something that apparently you get the sense that it is something innate to the flowers.
Ooh.
Like the way that they have been somehow cultivated.
Well,
Magical.
I'm just gonna take a peek in the flowers to see if there's any, like a seed pod or anything in the base of it.
No seed pod. You have the kind of stamens that come out that have little bits of pollen kind of gently drifting from them from time to time that appear to redevelop and grow. It reminds you a little bit of the way that the tree, the great death tree, would bloom with leaves as if it was, you know, spring, and then the leaves would all fall and immediately decay and go through that cycle every couple of minutes. It gives you a little bit of a reminder of that.
I don't know if I have enough nature to see if there's maybe a connection between the two.
You can roll a nature.
Not one.
Let's see.
One day I'm gonna call it.
One day you're gonna call it Jesus Berry.
Close.
You're
Very
just
close.
not sure. You're not really a horticulturist.
No.
So
Uh, I
you
will
don't
make-
think that these were the flowers that grew on the tree from memory. So
No. Audrey will make note to bring the flower to his herbalist friend when they get back to Arkala.
yes. Is there anything else anybody else would like to do before bunking down for the night?
Bagpipe music.
Wake up, everybody.
Wake up? No. It's a soothing sound.
Oh, okay.
Besides, everyone knows before you go to bed, you got to make sure the pipes are clean.
That's exactly true.
Okay. So, what do you call it? If no one else has anything to do,
Oh
then
boy.
Giant woman bagpipe remix.
Jesus. Okay. So I would assume that Warren eventually would come back into the
Yes,
the room.
Warren will eventually pop back
Okay. So upon seeing Warren, Warren kind of sees Ophelia just like standing up with her hands behind her back, and she like very slowly starts taking steps forward towards Warren, almost in like a very creepy way, kind of like her like when she takes a step, you can tell she's purposely like wobbling just to add to like a creepy factor.
Almost is doing a lot of lifting in that sentence.
Shut
And
up.
of course,
So-
Warren's just sitting there like, "Oh boy, hugs."
Yeah, Warren's like, oh, this like, are you okay? You need some help? Sometimes when I stand up too quickly, I wobble too.
And what do you call it? Ophelia kind of like slowly goes up to Warren, and she looks up at him. He's 8 feet tall, and she says, "Would you mind kneeling down for me real quick?"
Well, I mean, sure. I guess I'm a little tall. It's let me just give me a second. So he kind of kneels down, gets down on the one knee.
Clank, clank.
Clank, clank. Yeah, exactly. I was like, is this acceptable?
Like when he's on his knee, is it kind of like we're face to face, sort of?
How
tall would
are
you say Warren is? Let me double check my height, just so I can give you an accurate statement. Because I actually have her like actual height written down. Where is it? 5'2".
5'2". Okay, so he might. I mean, it's about like. Let's see.
I'm a small bean.
Schmolbean. Let's see if that's about. Just about.
Okay.
It's close enough.
So, in one swift kind of movement, Ophelia's left hand wraps around Warren's neck, as from the right hand, Warren could kind of feel like the pressure of an axe blade touch his neck. As she looks at him, and you can't see her face, obviously, because her eyes are covered with her bangs, but she just says, "I made this for you. Put it to good use." I takes the axe away from his neck, and then points the hilt towards him.
He's like, oh, that's an interesting ritual. I haven't seen that one before. I'll have to keep that in mind. Do that one a try. But I do very much appreciate it. He just kind of grabs. He's just happy. He just grabs the axe.
Ophelia kind of looks at Warren. She's like, "I know, right? I've been trying to add a little bit more like theatrics whenever I present things to people, but I don't know exactly how I should go about it."
Oh, that's a good idea. I should give this a try on Hayden the next time I see him.
But Warren could tell, but he could see it, but he can't tell that was a complete act of sarcasm.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. He took it at face value.
Yeah, Warren would have to willingly roll an insight check, which we know he never does.
Yeah, exactly. I would never do that.
Yeah, so now you have a +1 hand axe. So it does a d6 of damage, but it also does a d6 +1 plus your strength. So it's actually technically better than your 1d8 weapon, mathematically speaking. You could also, it has the light property, so you could dual wield if you have another light weapon, and you could throw it out to a range of 20 feet.
Oh, dang, okay.
Yep. Well, you can actually throw it out to a range of 60 feet, but if you throw it beyond 20 feet, you have disadvantage.
Okay, is this like a permanent weapon, or like does this
Yes.
go away? Okay.
No.
Dang.
A permanent weapon until I choose to either willingly destroy it during a short or long rest, or I like kind of destroy it to turn to something else.
I gotcha. Okay. That's pretty cool. Look at this. And it's just 1d6 plus strength.
1d6 plus strength plus 1. It has a +1 to damage and a +1 to hit.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, and it counts as magical. So if an enemy has resistance to non-magical slashing damage, this bypasses it.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yes.
I'm excited. Look at this. I
So
can
it's
throw it.
permanent
Is it?
until you decide you're tired of it, pretty much.
Is it
Wait, what?
a returning axe? So if I chuck it, will it come back to me?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
So you would have to go over and pick it up. So it's still recommended you hold on to your other weapon just in case you throw that one.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Oh, baby. Okay. It damages 1d6 plus 1d6?
1d6 plus 1 plus your strength.
Okay, got it. Cool. All right, we're good.
Okay.
Also,
So,
when
Go ahead.
Urs plays the bedtime bagpipes, it absolutely has to be "It's Bedtime" by Ninja Sex Party.
Oh my God.
It's
Ah,
perfect.
Come on.
anyway, you all go to bed.
I mean,
So,
Ernest is a dwarf. So, and a mountain dwarf at that, which means her bagpipe music can indeed rock.
But can it roll?
All right, so 1d6 of uninspiration. Got it.
right, on inspiration. So you rest. You get back your HP. You get back your spell slots. You eat. You sleep. The morning comes, and it is a hazy morning. You're noticing a trend as soon as you wake up. The light streams into this bunk room through two large windows along the walls, and when you wake up, you're immediately assaulted by a really horrible and disgusting sound. It seems that while you were sleeping, there was a zombie that came in to one of the other claimed bunks and went to sleep, and is still sleeping. However, the zombie does not have their entire lower jaw, so when they breathe, when they snore, it is this awful flapping sound of wet flesh.
Ew.
It's honk. It's
It
just
sounds like two steaks slapping the hood of a Buick.
yeah. You're so glad you went to sleep before that guy came in, because there's no way you would have gotten to sleep while he was snoring. But you wake up and Alexei is still standing guard at the door. He turns to see you all beginning to shuffle up, and he is quick to say, take your time, no rush whatsoever.
Ophelia kind of like looks at him and he's like, take our time. We don't have clocks. And gives a smug smile.
Oh, that living humor.
Murder all of you.
Murder all of you.
So, what do you guys do to get prepared, or do you want to just kind of cut to the fun stuff?
Warren's gonna put his stuff on, get ready to go.
Well, gosh, Riley, do we have time for fun stuff?
Probably not, or at least I'll like introduce the fun stuff, and then we'll probably do it next session. But
Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. Let me just double check my items, make sure everything's okay. You know, I'm actually kind of curious because Audrey kind of brought up a good point with the whole chicken flour thing.
mm-hmm.
So Ophelia's going to kind of like grab the pin off of her hair, and she's gonna look at the flower. And I have a book on what do you call it? Where is it? A book about plant identification. So it has the specifics about plants and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a plant in the book that matches the flower?
You sit down and spend some time flipping through the book, looking at the different sketches and renditions of various flowers and various plants. You find a couple that look really close, so go ahead and roll a knowledge nature check. And this is less about your knowledge and more about how good you are at identifying similarities between plants from a text.
Okay. You said nature?
Yep.
Normal. Okay. That's 9.
You've narrowed it down to a couple, but in the hazy light of the room, you're not finding anything that's you're just not really certain. Like nothing is screaming,
Concrete.
yes, it must be this plant.
Okay.
You know, there's a
Alright.
couple of flowers that have similar shape or have similar stems or have similar stamen or other kinds of features, but you know, none of the features at a glance are really giving you that confidence.
Alright. She kind of like puts her hand under her bangs and like rubs her eyes. She's like, it's too fucking early for this. Shuts the book and is like, I'll check it tonight, and puts the pin back into her hair.
There you go. Okay. Adre, Arist, anything to do before you set out for this encampment that you've been told about?
Audrey's just going to do his usual casting of the mage armor.
Okay.
And that's it.
Just prepping up. Making sure that with that we still have everything, making sure the daggers are in place, that whole shtick.
Okay. You gather your belongings. Ibnix is still nowhere in sight, but one of the... Alexei does kind of fill you in that she did receive her pin and flower as well late last night. And the moment that he has been dreading comes, where he now has to guide you to this sanctified place south of Everbury. Once again, you travel through the town, though this time it is heading southward. You pass you have to kind of go around one of the larger kind of structures, or kind of what would you call that? One of the larger plateaus, cliff faces. Go around that, following the trail back towards Madame Morose, and then going southward, where it starts opening up into farmland beyond. And the scent of fresh manure and living things begins to fill your lungs as you exit the town, and the mist begins to recede. You start to see the trees have leaves again, and as soon as you pass beyond the city limits. It's not a long jog, as Alexei explained. You walk about a mile, 15-30 minutes of walking, till he gets to a point where Alexei suddenly stops. He plops his spear in the ground, and he says, Okay. This is as close as I dare get.
All right.
Can we just...
Andre, Warren, how you feeling?
So Warren's gonna look out. So what is beyond where our great beyond from where our friend has stopped?
Looking over a series of kind of sloping hills and kind of cliffs that kind of rise up out of the ground, only about 10 or so feet before turning into cliffs that dip down. It's a very, very rough terrain out here, but nothing really catches your eye immediately. Go ahead and make perception checks if you wish.
Oh boy.
Ooh, 19.
Thank you, Adre.
11. So, looking out, first of all, you don't feel anything. You don't feel any sense of dread or that anything is attacking you or watching you or anything like that. Looking out, you do see what looks like a bit of an area where the terrain has been cleared or flattened more purposefully than others. And Alexei continues, he says, if you go down there, and he points in that general direction, you'll see it. Pick a god and pray. And he takes a couple steps backwards away from where he's
It's a pick a cotton prey.
God.
Warren's just
So-
like, oh, I'm good at that.
I'm really good at that.
Is there what do you call it? Like any trees around?
There are a few. Mhm.
Okay. Ophelia will kind of do something nice for once. And she kind of like purposely looks around for like a very far away tree.
Okay.
And kind of points at it. And like looks at Alexis. That's her name, right? Alexis?
Alexei.
Alexei, okay. And then she says, all right, then just wait under there. We'll be back soon.
Right. I look forward to it. The sooner we can get out of here, the better.
And yeah, and then whatever the party wants to do, we can do it. Next time, though.
Oh, what
Quite.
does the...
No.
Do you wish to go and begin your investigation?
Yes.
Can we see anything from here of them?
Not from there. It looks like the terrain slopes a bit, and then you'll have to get a little closer, get around some of
We
the terrain
must
before you can
Crest
put eyes
the
on
hill.
it. Yeah, before you
Okay.
can put eyes on this.
So I suppose we will keep our eyes open and begin the exploration.
Indeed.
As well, is there like tall grass or underbrush or anything like that?
There's definitely a bit of shrubbery, underbrush, a little bit. Not too much in the way of tall grass. Seems like everything's kind of flat in this area. Too rocky for things to grow too tall, except
Rocky?
for the trees.
Rocky? Rocky?
I was gonna say maybe it's time for recon pig.
Recon pig.
You send truffles out ahead?
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't take truffles long to kind of
scout
come around a
swine.
bend
Scout swine.
and give a happy little squeal of delight as he finds what you're looking for. Around the bend, you follow, and you find, as I move you over here, an
Oh.
encampment. And immediately you see the object of Alexei's consternation. There are two pillars here, each with a glowing golden sphere set upon it that is hovering in the space right above the pillar. It is giving off a energy that kind of caresses over you in waves. Every couple of seconds it pulses and this wave of golden energy passes over you. Appears to not do anything harmful to Warren or Adre or Ophelia or Urist. It feels warm, welcoming. Otherwise, beyond that, there's a camp in a manner of disarray and abandonment. There's a couple of tents that have been set up. They look like they've been here for some time. But otherwise, it is still and quiet.
Okay. Before we move forward, I am going to expend a use of Bardic Inspiration and store a use of Tales from the Beyond.
Okay.
I will be rolling that and letting you know what I roll.
hmm I'll mark that with a little purple circle.
About how, like, just as a like a ballpark guess that Audrey might have, how heavy you think that orb looks?
It's about the size. It's like half the size of your head, but you're not sure what the material is. It looks, it's glowing, so it's hard to make out. I mean, it could be stone, it could be cloth. It's really hard to figure out what's under that bright golden glow.
I'm gonna try and give it a shove off the pillar with Mage Hand.
Okay. Mage Hand reaches out and exerts a little bit of force on the orb, but it seems that whatever force holding it in place is a little bit stronger than what Mage Hand can do. You do see the orb wobble in place a little bit.
All right. Let's see. Would is Dispel Magic a one you can ritual cast?
Ooh,
Not
Dispel Magic?
sure
I
on
It
this.
should
don't
have the ritual tag.
think so.
I can check for you real fast.
Yeah,
No.
No.
Okay,
No.
wasn't sure because I didn't see,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
So what about our pork chop gumshoe?
I'm sure.
Well,
Is standing
they saw
there,
the-
kind of sniffing at the pillar, like unfazed by the light.
It's like it was very bright. It's like a tiny sun.
Pork chop gumshoe. It took me a second.
Well, if Truffles stands guard, I can try and dispel the pillar.
Like, good idea. Can I tell, like, what kind of, like, what conceptual god these things are supposed to be like set up and powered by?
Roll a religion check.
Excellent.
Nat one.
Nat one.
Why are you cheering for that?
Oh man.
Because Riley, it's reverse psychology, okay?
I
Let's
guess
take the
so.
dice out.
If you want nat ones, then you're gonna get nat 20s.
That's
How do you
how it
think-
works.
How do you think
Yeah.
Otis got 2 nat 20s in a row? It's because I was praying for nat 1s.
Interesting.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Okay. So looking at these pillars, Warren's brain is not a complex one. There's not too many neurons really making all the
Light
connections.
pretty.
You see light, you think God of light.
God of
Makes
light.
sense.
Makes sense to me. Perfect.
So with the rest of us here and the Baconator investigator keeping watch, I think we're okay on this one.
Baconator, investigator.
Why do you insult my child?
So much.
I'm doing the opposite. I'm giving them full credit.
Yeah. Okay.
Fair, baconators are kind of delicious.
See?
Yeah,
Good to
no, I
see.
want one.
Nice.
Damn it.
Yeah,
And they
thanks,
make an excellent porcine patrol.
Oh
Swear to God.
man, this is perfect.
Yeah, this is why D&D needs uninspiration.
Inspiration.
I'm
Well, they
I'm
have that. It's
inspired.
called psychic damage.
It's called
Yeah.
psychic damage.
It's called giving the enemy inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
there
I
you
am
go.
inspired.
Silvery barbs.
Silvery
Yeah.
barbs.
Holy. So
Oh,
you're in this space. What do you do?
I'm gonna try and dispel the
The orb.
magic on the orbs.
Okay. So let me take a look here. Range 120 feet.
He doesn't have
Choose
to
a
move.
thing for each spell of for the target make an ability check using your spellcasting ability. 10 plus the spell's level. So go ahead and make a spellcasting
Oh,
check.
maybe.
Now that means that spell is over 3rd level, yes?
Maybe.
Because any spell of 3rd level or lower is immediately ended.
I could be making you roll as a red herring.
Fair. Fair.
This is
So
playing the
okay,
mind
what does it have to
game.
roll here?
It'd be an intelligence check.
Ability check. Okay.
That must have been a trick.
14.
14. So, you cast Dispel Magic, and the anti-magic, I don't... What form does Dispel Magic take for you?
For Adre, it would be
It's a cat knocking down the orb.
No, it's mycelium ribbons wrapping around it and constricting.
Very good. Okay. So, these ribbons of purple and green wrap around this orb and then press in, and the light disappears.
Excellent.
An orb that looks to be silver of some sort. It could be steel, it could be silver, you're not really sure at this distance. But it falls, clunk, clang, bonk, roll, before finally coming to a rest at the base of the plinth.
We cannot
Nice.
fail with Sherlock Hams on the case.
I think
That is, we are going to end tonight's episode
Sorry.
as magic begins to crackle from the ground from the dispelled orb. Not from the orb, but actually from the pillar that it was resting upon. A beam of light suddenly shoots up into the sky,
Oh, that's probably not good.
explodes into a small
broke it.
firework, and then fades.
Well, they know we're here now.
That is where we are going to end tonight's episode of GoldTail D&D.
Uh-oh.
yeah.
Because I literally cannot even. Okay? I cannot even. I am done. I am tired.
Gosh.
We broke Riley, guys. I'm sorry.
I am broken. I am a broken man.
Remember, if the DM cries, you win D&D.
D&D.
Pretty much.